I wonder who wrote the book of love?
All right, guys, what movie? The Notebook. Notebook, exactly right. So Nicholas Sparks, I believe that's right, and he's written a lot of good books. Of course, great movie as well. I remember the first time we saw it.
I think you cried like a little girl, didn't you?
I probably did. Exactly right. But as you mentioned last week, I cried dog food commercials. So anyway, I mean, when those Hallmark commercials come on, y'all know what I'm saying? It gets you deep in your feels. Just anyway, Man Card Revoked. Solomon for the past 5 weeks. And I hope have you guys enjoyed this message, this series? I'm glad because we've enjoyed teaching it. I have been very nervous throughout this whole thing, and I'm really glad that today is done. So anyway, because let's talk about anything else. And it's not because I don't like talking about love or us talking to one another. It's just one of those things, talking about sexual intimacy in church is not a normal occurrence, but I think it's a good thing because all of us, God has a lot to say about marriage and about friendships and about growing old together. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. We've been through a lot of things in the Song of Solomon. We've seen what attracted them. We've saw them dating. We saw them get married and their wedding a night. And then last week, Kim did such a great job talking about conflict. In fact, I think she did such a great job talking about conflict. We went home and just had a fight for the fun of it. So anyway. So today we're talking about the years from the I do to the tomb. And I don't know about you guys, but when you see an older couple maybe at a restaurant and they're holding hands, that just kind of does something to you, doesn't it? It just does. But let's be honest. So many of us, we can get so jaded when it comes to love that you'll see that young couple walk in and you can tell everything's fresh and everything's new, and they're holding hands, and some of y'all, they'll learn. They'll learn. It'll fade. And you know what? I don't think biblical love is supposed to fade. I don't think it is. And wherever you're at, if you're in the beginning of a relationship and you're in the middle, maybe you're over the hump day of Wednesday, and it's like, okay, we've been married some decades. All of that, God doesn't want you to lose the fizzle of love. He wants you to keep it alive. But it's going to take some work. It will. So I'm just going to throw this out here. A lot of people, they will believe the lie. And here's the lie. If I fall in love, then I will what? Stay in love. That is a lie. I wish it stayed. I wish it happened that way, that if you fell in love, you would stay in love, but there is no guarantees. In fact, falling in love is about as easy as falling in a ditch, right? It just is. I remember talking, I think it was last year when we did our marriage series called The Knot. We talked about that falling in love is kind of a lot like getting the flu. Like when you fall in love, your hands get sweaty, right? And you start feeling butterflies in your stomach, and you start, you're getting clammy. And it's like, I'm either in love or you have the flu. And with the flu season going around, anyway. All right. Anyway, so I would say that in this time, it's so easy to fall in love.
Was that in your notes?
It's not in my notes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, move on. Yeah. Next time you look at me and say, I think I'm getting the flu, I'm going to be like, no, you're just in love.
Yeah, all right. So, oh my gosh. So, it's never been easier to fall in love, but I would say it's never been harder to stay in love. So, here's our big idea today that we're going to be unpacking throughout the next 35 minutes. Our big idea is simply this. You can fall in love overnight, but it takes a lifetime to stay in love. Does the flame of marriage have to go out? And I would say it doesn't. Today is all about staying in love, the art of staying in love. And that's what we're going to see this couple go through in Song of Solomon do today. They make the choice to remain, to stay in love, to continue to pursue and to prioritize one another. But be warned. Be warned. Staying in love takes work. You can't just put it on autopilot. It takes active practice and listening. Falling in love, easy. Staying in love is hard.
That's very true. Chris and I were just talking about this. Actually, we've been talking about it for a few months now.
Absolutely.
Just in our life and in our marriage, we are coming to the season where our nest will be empty soon. I can't cheer for that, but inside I am. So no, we're excited because Jed will be graduating college and going off to graduate school, and Bing has big plans in front of him. Of course, Walt and Brooke have already been married and have established their home. And so, but for us, it's that season of like, okay, it's coming back to me and you. Yeah. And we've had a lot of work to do. We've realized some places in our relationship that needed some attention and some time. We've realized some places where we've been out of kilter. Some places there's been more ministry than marriage. Some places there's been more activity than stillness. In some places there's been more time apart than time together. And as we've come to have those conversations and spend time together, as each of us are in counseling, and just kind of working through like who I was 32 years ago, that's when we got married. When I met you, I was 16. Yeah. So who I was when I was 16 and I met him and who I am today, not the same person. And we all go through that. We all go through changes as we go through the seasons of life. And I think that's what happens sometimes in our relationships. It's like we're looking at this person that we fell in love with and they're like, you're not the same anymore. That's true. We're not going to be the same, but it doesn't mean that love has ended. It doesn't mean that we're no longer in love. Are there some ways that we need to get to know each other again? Absolutely, yes. And Chris and I have this little box of cards that we carry around with us now wherever we go, and just like for husbands and wives, just questions. And we just feel like we're getting to know each other all over again. And it's really exciting. It's an opportunity to hear how he's changed, and he can hear how I have changed. So I just want to say, if you're looking at the person that you've married, whether it's been 2 years or 5 years or 32 years, and things are different, don't be discouraged. Don't throw in the towel. Don't think, well, this must be over. You're not the same person that I married. No, you stay in it and you get to know that person for who they are now. That's right. This couple today that we've been reading about in the Song of Solomon, we're at the end of their story. And for Chris and I, we're at the end of a season in our life, and we're looking forward to new things. And that's exactly what we see them do. We're going to be in chapter 7 and chapter 8 today. And as we come into chapter 8, we see that they're from chapter 7, they've been out on a date and they're coming back. They've gone away for the weekend. And as we check back in on them, we're going to see that their love is still strong. And as it was when they were young and exuberant and had lots of energy, their love is still in that same place. Let's look at Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 5. Who is this sweeping in from the desert, leaning on her lover? I aroused you under the apple tree. Now, 3 times in this book we have read, do not awake or arouse love until it pleases. And here we see, beneath the apple tree, I awakened you. Like love is waking up. It's time for love. It says, where your mother gave you birth, where in great pain she delivered you. Amen, ladies. Amen. That is, that's a great pain. And sometimes love is painful. If you have the notion in your head that your marriage is going to be a perfect union and you're always going to get along and this is a perfect person and you're going to have a perfect life, the news is, it's going to get painful. And our big idea, remember today, is that you can fall in love overnight, but it takes a lifetime to stay in love. It takes work. You have to be intentional because that sweetness and that excitement and that newness wears off. Think about like if you get a new car, like you can't wait to get in it. It smells good. You just sit in there, right? You roll up all the windows, you're like, oh, it's so good in here, right? And you can't wait to drive it. And you can't wait to go places. And you're just excited about it. Well, after a while, the car gets dirty and your dog's been in there and you've spilled a cup of coffee on the other side 3 different times and smells kind of funky in there and you've got, right? And so you're just not quite as excited. The car is still great. Just that newness wears off. And we can go through that same thing in our relationship. Ladies, I know it's hard to believe, but there are going to be times in your relationship where you are unlovable? No, I knew that was going to come. No. Okay, how about this? Ladies, there are going to be times in your relationship when your man is unlovable. Yeah, okay, right? It's all about him. And sorry. And you may want to murder him, right? But it's like, anyway, but we don't. So either way, you're going to be unlovable. He's going to be unlovable, right? And love gets painful when we get to that place of unlovable. And we have to learn how to live with damaged goods. Nobody comes into a marriage perfect. Nobody's had the perfect childhood. Nobody's had the perfect experience. And so if I know already coming in that my life hasn't been perfect, how can I expect him to be perfect? Now, the next thing we want to look at today is that love is possessive. Look at Song of Solomon, chapter 8, verse 6. It says, place me as a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. Now, in Jewish culture, this was a big thing. When somebody had a seal, like a wax seal, they would use it. I think we have a picture of it to seal their letters. It was like, I approve of this message. I know what's in here. This content has been seen by me. What is in this letter is very important. And that's exactly what we want to see her saying. She's like, I want to be precious to you. I want to be stamped on you. I want your impression to be on me. And I don't want anything else to come before me. I want to know that you love me, that you see me, you want to spend time with me. Love is possessive. Guys, when you have her, she owns your heart. It means that your career takes second place and she takes first place. Your wife is the best thing that's ever happened to you. Ladies, your husband is the best thing that's ever happened to you. And you don't want to go, guys' nights, yeah, maybe every now and then, but it's not the norm anymore. And hanging out with the girlfriends, that's not the norm anymore. He becomes your priority. She becomes your priority. There is a possessiveness here that is strong and a bond that is beautiful. The third thing we see is that love is permanent. Look at verse 6 again. For love is strong as death, and its jealousy as enduring as the grave. Y'all, is death permanent? For the most part, yes. I mean, there have been a few miracles, Jesus being one of them, right? But death is permanent. And just that permanence that we find with death, we also want to think of that permanence with love. When Chris and I stood with each other on December the 11th of 1993 and said our vows to each other, that is a commitment that is meant to be permanent. That is a covenant. It's meant to last a lifetime through grief, through loss, through brokenness, through attack, through hurt, through pain, through joy, through victory, through loss, through gain, all of it. In verse 7, it also says, many waters cannot quench love. This is a love that's not going out. It's not going to dwindle. It's not going to fade. It's a flame that's going to be eternal. It's lasting. This couple is still in love. And how did they remain in love? Because you can fall in love overnight, but it takes a lifetime to stay in love.
Absolutely. Talking about that many waters cannot quench love, that flame. In order to keep a fire going, you have to stoke it. It takes intentionality. You just can't just throw a log on it and walk away. You know, Kim said something wasn't in her notes that about getting that new car and the new car smell right, but then after a while the dog gets in it, you spill the coffee, all that stuff. What do? You just, okay, it's dirty. I'm going to go buy a new car. I mean, unless you're independently wealthy, which I don't think anybody is in here, you have to do what to the car? You're going to have to clean it. You got to put in some work, right? You're going to have to vacuum it. You're going to have to scrub that coffee out. For some of us, if we want to have that newness in our relationship again, it's going to take some intentionality. It's going to take some work. We're not going to trade it in for a new one. No, that's not how this is meant to be. Well, how it's meant to be is you work on the relationship that you have. So what we're going to be doing for the rest of the morning is we're going to be talking about how to do that intentionality. How do you stay in love? Now, there's going to be a how do you stay in love for him, and I'm going to talk about that. And Kim is going to be talking about how you stay in love for her. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. There are more points for the guys than the girls. There's 6 for us. There's only 4 for her. You want to know why we need more? Incorrect. But thank you. Thanks for playing, right? Because if you're a guy, let me see your hand. Come on. We need some work. You know what I'm saying? The reason why God gave you a spouse is because you need some work. In fact, this is how the Bible says. The Bible says, I'm going to give you a helper. What God is nicely saying is you need some help. So we're going to look at 6 different things today in which what we need to do as men to stay in love. So here's the first one. The first thing is you continue to date. You continue to date her. That's what it says in Song of Solomon chapter 6, verse 11. I went down to the grove of the walnut trees and out to the valley to see the new spring growth, to see whether the grapevines had what? Budded, and the pomegranates were in. Quick question. What season are they in? Springtime. Exactly right. Now, when they started dating, if you were here when anybody remember what season they were in when they started dating? Spring. The Bible lets you know that even though a lot of time has elapsed in their relationship and they've deepened in the marriage, it's still springtime. It's still springtime. Marriage doesn't have to die off. It doesn't have to die off. The world says it does. We tend to look at marital couples like kind of gazily dreaming at one another when we make fun of them. But honestly, we shouldn't be made. We should emulate them. In a biblical marriage, we grow deeper and deeper and deeper, and we stoke the fires of passion. Look what it says. Before I realized it, what does it say, church? Let's all say it together. My strong desires had taken me to the chariot of a noble man. So they still have strong desires. Even after the conflict from last week, their desires haven't lessened, they've deepened. And honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why God allows us to go through conflict, is so that we can deepen in our communication, deepen in our love, deepen in just talking about what happened and how we can do things differently. So you continue to date. Here's the next one. His knowledge of her deepens. Look at this next one. How beautiful are your sandaled feet. Wait a minute. This guy praises everything all the way down to her feet. Now, on the honeymoon, he praises the very open things about her. Her eyes, her lips, her cheeks, her hair, everything that people would normally notice. But here, he praises something that not everybody would notice about her, and that is her feet. You want to know why? Because this guy's intimate knowledge of his wife has deepened. You can take good couples and ask them what they love about their mate, and they will inevitably just tell you some things that you probably would never, ever know about them just casually. And for instance, when I married my wife 32 years ago, she had beautiful blue eyes. But also, one of the things I've noticed over the years, she has freckles, and you probably would never, ever notice them, but I love the freckles. So let me tell you about her feet.
Oh,
I'm just joking. All right. And cut. All right, we're done with that. All right. See, but here's the thing. I know what made me fall in love with her was her servant's heart. But one of the things I've seen her do over and over and over again is show up for people. To be able to show up when people are in need, when somebody needs a conversation, for somebody who just needs a friend. She is a good and loyal friend. She's been that to me, and she's been that to so many of you out there. So the more you deepen in that relationship, the more you're going to realize some things. Oh, wow. More things that we can appreciate. Another thing he does, he continues to praise her. He continues to praise her. How beautiful are your sandaled feet, O queenly maiden. I love that. He calls her a prince's daughter. Earlier in their marriage, he called her darling, Ra'ah, dove, perfect one, and unique one. Now he calls her royalty. That's amazing. This woman, she gets her esteem from the way this man sees her, and he sees her as royalty. So his perception of her has deepened. Look what else deepens. He says, your rounded thighs are like jewels, the work of a skilled craftsman. In their honeymoon, again, he praised those physical things about her, but now his praise for her is deepened in such a way that only this couple knows in the confines of their own home. Something that not everybody else can see, that's intimate and sensual, that only he knows. You know, one of the things that your spouse wants to know is some things that are only reserved for him or for her. I mean, we've talked about this, right? So, I mean, there are some things that you want to be able to keep close to your chest. His praise of his wife deepens. She's getting older. She doesn't look the way she did on her wedding day or the honeymoon, but nor does he. But he praises and he esteems her. Now, next verse needs a little bit of explanation. Look what it says. Your navel is perfectly formed like a goblet filled with mixed wine. Okay, we're good. Between your thighs lies a mound of wheat bordered with the lilies. Now, guys, that can get you kicked quickly out of the bedroom. Girl, your thighs are as enormous as hay bales. Not what you want to go. So let's talk. What is he really talking about here? He's talking about wine and he's talking about wheat. Now, to a Jew, there are two annual crops. The spring crop and the fall crop. The spring crop were grapes and fruits, and the fall crop, they harvested wheat. Now, when a man says to his wife, your navel is a goblet filled with the best wine, that's the spring blessing of rain. Your thighs are like wheat, that's the autumn blessing of rain. So what he's saying to his wife is that you are a gift from God. That you have blessed me in the beginning, in the springs, you blessed me in the fall, that you are a blessing from God. And that's what he's saying by this. I love that. Sweetheart, you are God's gift to me. Next, he is gentle and he values her. Throughout all of these verses, each time the man speaks of her, he does so with tenderness and careful thought. His words are kind. His expressions are heartfelt. Be gentle in your words, guys. Be gentle in your actions because you want to show her that she has value. Look at verse 4. Your neck is as beautiful as an ivory tower. Now, this is really interesting because this is all about how she carries and handles herself. There is never an instance archaeologically in all of reality of a tower made of ivory. You want to know why? Because it would be way too expensive. To say that her neck is a tower of ivory is to say to your wife that you so deeply admire her that she is like a tourist attraction. She is of inestimable worth. Your wealth, a wealth that can never be calculated. That's what he's saying to his wife, that you are worth more than anything in the world. Your neck is like a tower of ivory. Look what it says. Keep on going. Your eyes are like the sparkling pools of Heshbon. Now, Heshbon was this real city. It was a very busy city, and the gate of the city is where all the transactions would take place. And there were two pools just right outside of Heshbon. And that's where you would go to kind of get away from the hubbub. And it was like a day, like a sauna and a spa, which brings us to number 5. If you want to continue to fall in love with your wife, look at what he does. He rushes home to be with her. He rushes home to be with her. When he says to his wife, your eyes are like the pools of Heshbon, it means that when life gets hectic and harsh and mean and unloving, he rushes home, he locks the door, and he looks into her eyes, and that is a safe place, a place where he can be vulnerable, he can be real, and he can just have his oasis, his sauna and spa day. Now, next one, look what it says. Your nose is as fine as the Tower of Lebanon overlooking Damascus. Again, this is Hebrew poetry. So it's like, what is all these simple, but here's what he's talking about. In the north of Israel was Lebanon, and they had a tower looking out at Lebanon because that was their enemies of Syria, and Damascus was there. And if Syria ever invaded, there was a tower there. Someone would be watching to see if the enemy would be invaded. It was security, it was trust. And that leads us to the last one. His trust for her has deepened. His trust for her has deepened. He trusts her. She is his growing security. Let me tell you something about guys, all right? And I'm telling something about guys because it's something about me. You know, when guys get older, we become more emotional. Do you realize that? We become more emotional. And they need their wives more, not less. And let me tell you the reason why. They find their security more in her because they realize that they are no longer young and dumb and they can't do it all. They realize that. They become more emotional. They find their security in their wives. So she is his security, and his trust for her has deepened. This is a woman, ladies, who would never, ever cut her man out in public. Let me tell you how that happens. We've been in a lot of community groups. We've been in community groups now for almost 20 years now here at One Church. And one of the things we've seen over and over again, sometimes in these groups, is you'll have couples come in and the lady will just bash the guy. Well, he did this to me, 14 years ago. And it's just like, yeah. And it's like, that. Ladies, I'm just going to say this. When you're out there with the girls or anybody, if you're going to talk about your man, talk about him in a good way. Because if you're always tearing him down, let me tell you, he feels that. So I'm begging you. I've never, ever had to worry about that with Kim. She's never torn me down behind my back or even in front of me. She always praises me, encourages me. Sometimes we have conflict and she has to say, yeah, I don't like it when you do this. But I never, ever have to worry about, are we secure? Because she puts her God first and then she puts me second. So I would just encourage you, ladies, man, whether you're with your spouse or not with your spouse, speak to him in an understanding tone.
That's so good. That's so good. I just want to interject. Can I go off
Yeah,
notes
please,
for just 1 second? Sorry
yeah.
about that. Sorry. I always accuse you of doing this, and I'm doing it today. I'm so sorry about that. But
it's
this is
totally
really
good.
good. Just something you said stuck out to me. When he was talking about just the opportunity to deepen. One of the things that we've been doing more recently is, especially in this series, y'all, there's some great words and some great lines in Song of Solomon, and we've been texting them to each other.
Yeah.
It's been really sweet. So I just want to say, if you want to deepen, when you want to text your spouse and say, how beautiful you are, my love and my darling. It doesn't always have to be where you have to stop everything you're doing and we have to go somewhere and got to get a hotel for the night or go to dinner. Like even in the simplest ways. Maybe it's a note on the bathroom mirror. Maybe it's a Post-it note in their car. But find those tiny ways that you can pour in.
In fact, if I could interrupt you. So one of the things that we have started doing, both of us.
Careful.
Is so we will text one another. And there's a thing, if you have an iPhone, I don't know if you have anything else, but iPhone, you can send the text message later. Anybody else discover this? So what we will do is we will write text messages and we'll send it later. So like other day, it was maybe 3 weeks ago, she's down like rowing down in the basement and I'm getting in the Jeep to pull out and I text her, but it was one of those send you later. And she says, Kim says, you just texted me a love text. And I'm like, so anyway, so you can plan ahead. Now some of you are like, well, if I plan it ahead, then it won't mean as much.
That's not true. That's not true.
Not at all.
No. Very intentional. So anyway, just thank you for that. So up to this point, the guy's been doing all the talking. Now we're going to shift back to the lady. And there are all these points that we went through for the guys. Now, ladies, we've got 4 points we're going to go through for us for how to stay in love. Number 1, physical intimacy becomes more comfortable for her. I'm going to read the verse, then I'll come back to that statement. May your kisses be as exciting as the best wine. Yes, wine that goes down smoothly for my lover, flowing gently over his lips and teeth. And she's saying, your love is the best wine. Now, he's already said, I could fill up your navel with wine. I mean, come on. So lots of wine talk going on here. And she's saying, your love, your kisses are like the best wine, smooth wine that just goes down so easily. I don't know about some of you ladies, but I grew up in a very conservative background and spent a lot of time throughout my growing up being told, you don't. And then on the day that I got married in a 15-minute ceremony, I said, I do. And then you're supposed to do and do and do and do and do. And so for me, physical intimacy had a lot of mixed messages because I had been told throughout my life, remain pure, don't be with anyone before you're married, don't have sex before marriage. But then all of a sudden I was supposed to. but I didn't have any other understanding about what that looked like. And so that has been a process that for me personally, I've had to learn, I've had to grow through. And so as this physical intimacy becomes more comfortable for her, not only is it because time has passed, but it's because they've deepened and they know one another more. And the more they continue to know each other, it's not just about physical intimacy, it's about that knowledge, but the two become one, and more knowledge feeds into intimacy, and intimacy feeds into knowledge. And so it's really beautiful how that happens. In chapter 7, verse 10, it says, I belong to my beloved, and his desire is for me. His desire. Let's talk about that word. The word is teshukwa. That's the Hebrew word teshukwa. And it's only used 3 times in the Bible, and it means to consume something. Now, in Genesis chapter 4, verse 7, we see an example of this where God is talking to Cain and Abel, the 2 brothers there. And he says, sin is crouching at your door, waiting to consume you, waiting to shukwa you, that idea of rushing in. And that's what she's saying. Like, I want to consume your love. I want to be overcome with your love, and I want you to be overcome with mine. That they have a passion for each other. And she doesn't see his passion as a nuisance. Now, last week we talked about no toe for you, right? Like, you go to bed mad at each other, and inevitably somebody's got to start, creeping over enemy territory, toes going out, just get away from me. And so, there are times where you go to bed and you're just like, just don't touch me, right? Now, this was the other morning for us. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm like trying to have my quiet time. I got the covers over my head. I'm reading my Bible, and here comes Chris's hand. And I'm like, stop it. I'm having my Jesus time. And so he slinks back out, and a few minutes later, and Jesus is still here, back over there. He's still here. Leave me alone. Jesus is still here. But that idea is that when it comes to their time together, they treasure it. And Jesus treasures it too.
Yes, he does.
When you give me time with him. Let's be clear about that.
Except when you're reading Psalm 119 and it's 4 hours.
Well, So that idea that their passion, their intimacy increases. Number 2, she carves out purposeful time. I love this part. Song of Solomon, chapter 7, 11 and 12. Come, my love, let us go out to the fields and spend the night among the wild flowers. Now, when we were in Iowa, one time we planned a date. I'm not going to tell all of it. We went out to hang out. Of course, there's lots of farms. Please stop looking at me. So we go out and we're hanging out on these people's farm, and there's hay, and there's just flies everywhere as we're hanging out. We're hanging out in the back of this pickup truck, and the stars are out. I mean, really, I thought it was going to be super romantic, but there were flies and pestilence everywhere. So I thought about that when I read spend the night among the wildflowers. Take the off with you when you go do that, is my point. So she initiates and carves out time for them. Now, for some of you, you've got kids, and you're like, this is really hard to do. We don't have family close by, or, our schedules are crazy, but I just want to encourage all of you, in whatever way you can, set aside some time. Be purposeful with your time. Think about the other ways that you set aside time for things that are important to you, whether that's working out, or whether that's spending time with friends, or whether it's even laundry and house cleaning. You make time for the things that need to be done, the things that are important. And it should be no different with your spouse. I mean, really, you can't afford not to spend time with them. And so if that looks like getting a sitter, then get one. If that means that you put the kids in a back room somewhere, no, I'm kidding. That would not be good. Whatever it is, you want to create that purposeful time, that set apart time. Look at verse 12. Let us get up early and go to the vineyards and see if the grapevines have budded, and if the blossoms have opened and the pomegranates have bloomed. Once again, this is springtime, so there's lots of new life and things are blooming and coming together. That idea that their marriage is still growing. It's not dwindling. It's not dying. It's not fizzling out. They're taking that time to be together. In verse 12, it also says, there I will give you my love. Woohoo! Let's go to the park, right? Let's go hang out. We're going parking. Do people even say that anymore? I don't think so. Yeah, some of the young people in the room I don't know what you're talking about. So we'll go to that another time. So she says, there I'm going to give you my love. We're going to take some time away, and there I'm going to give you my love. I want to teshukwa you. I want to consume you. You are my desire. I want to be with you. Of course, he's thrilled. He's like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Creeping on over with the hand, right? She wants him to know, I'm thinking of you. My desire is for you. And he's like, yes, it is. And bring it on. So, and then we see in the third point is her responsiveness to him deepens. In verse 13, it says, there are mandrakes and they give off their fragrance. The finest fruits are at our door, new delights as well as old, which I have saved for you, my lover. Now, this is not talking about the Walmart delivery that comes to the side porch when it says finest fruits are at our door. That's not what we're talking about here. Not what we're talking about. The mandrakes give off their fragrance. Now, mandrakes were are an aphrodisiac. And there are even passages in the Bible where there are two sisters and one of them stealing, asking for the mandrake. So, my husband will want to sleep with me tonight. And so what she's saying is, I've got fruit. There's all this spring and growing and all of these things are happening. I've got the fruit of love that I want to share with you. She wants to be an oasis. She wants to have her man for herself. And her responsiveness to him has grown. The responsiveness to each other. Her communication and her responsiveness has deepened. She desires him. He desires her. And they go into the place where they express that. Number 4, she doesn't just feel desire, she expresses it. Isn't it interesting how we tend to judge others by their actions, but we judge ourselves by our intentions? So we see somebody do something, right? Oh, we're going to judge them for this. Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Or, oh, I wouldn't have made that choice. Or sometimes like, yeah, that was great. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like, well, I meant to do it. I intended to do it. I intended to spend some time with you. I intended for us to go to this place, or I intended to remember our anniversary or whatever it is. So this idea that when we look at our own lives, we tend to think about our intention, but when we look at others, we're looking for their action. And so she takes that next step into action. She expresses the love. So today, I just want to encourage you. If you think something good about your spouse, please say it. If you think something special, then do it. If you want something different, then be it. So often we look to our spouse and we have expectations of what we want from them or what we'd like to see from them, but then we don't often put it into practice ourselves. We're okay with our intention, but we want to see action from them. And so I just want to challenge you this week. If you think something good about your spouse, would you please just say it? Can you please just say it to them? If they do something sweet for you, can you just say, that was so sweet, thank you? If they do something kind for you, you can say, that was really kind, thank you. Once again, it doesn't have to be some major deal. Just speak it out. There's life-giving power in our words.
That's right.
The power of life is there. And in order to have a life-giving marriage, speak it out. Don't be embarrassed. Don't hold back. If you have something good to say it.
Absolutely. So if you think something good, say it. Can you say that with us? If you think something good,
say it.
Absolutely. Now, second, if you think something special, then do it. If you think something special, then do it. They've both created time for one another, purposeful time. They carved out an oasis during the day. This is something that we've been really intentional. Honestly, before we can preach this to you guys, we've had to preach it to ourselves. I mean, that's the great thing about all of this is this going to work here? And if it's going to work here, and I believe it does because it's biblical, then if it's working here, then we can talk to you guys about it. But we have been living this out. We've been carving out small little times. Doesn't have to be a lot during the day, either in the morning, evening, sometimes during the day if our schedules work, so that we can spend 15 to 20 minutes to one another. We call them Engetis because earlier in this book, Song of Solomon and the woman, they're like, we live in this desert, but you're my Engedi. You're my oasis. You're the fountains and the palm trees. So what we've been doing is we've been going to different coffee shops during the week. What's the one we went to this past week?
The Artesian.
The Artesian, yes. So really good place, and they make their own homemade croissants. It's right on Wilma Rudolph. But you know what? Take 15, sorry. They take 15, 20 minutes, and Kim brought those cards, and we were asking questions of one another because we're still working on our marriage. We don't want it to just put it on autopilot. So if you think something special, then do it. If you think about flowers, bring her flowers. Now, some of you guys are thinking, those things are just going to die. Why do I need to spit? No, you be sweet to her. You used to possibly bring her flowers. I mean, that's the reason why she said, I do. So bring flowers. It is springtime. Go pick you some buttercups, some daffodils, right? Bring her that. Something small. Write her a love text. Or do something that she enjoys, not something that you just enjoy, but if you have good intentions, do it. Move intentions to actions. Move intentions to actions. Move intentions. This is what I thought about doing. Then do it. Guys, put yourself out there. Be vulnerable. And ladies, when he tries, when he attempts, there's going to be sometimes it's going to be great. There's going to be other times he's going to fall flat on his face. Don't you dare laugh. Right? I mean, just you lean in and say, I am so glad that you thought of me. If you think something special, then do it. Ladies, think about this. What would your husband do that would be so very romantic and thoughtful that would be a big blessing to you? Now, as a guy, I'm thinking, okay, bring her flowers, bring her chocolates. That's how we've been trained to think. But it's a little bit different than that, ain't it?
Yeah, like fold some laundry.
Yes.
Take out the trash. Mow the grass. Empty the dishwasher.
Yep.
That is romance, right, lady? That is romance. Man, you come in, that dishwasher's emptied, that trash is taken out. It's like, what? I got nothing to do? Okay. Hey. All right? I mean, there are different ways that you can speak. And I also just want to emphasize, this goes both ways. It's not just about what your guy's going to do for you, but what can you do for him? You know, we've talked in this series about guys have an ego. That's the way God made them. So what are the ways that you can speak into him? I believe in you. I trust you. I see your hard work. I know you are a good leader. I'm happy to be next to you. All of these things add up. And so when you think something special, do it. And when you think something good, say it. And then if you want something different, be it. Be it. You know, there came a time for us just a couple months ago where I had to say to Chris, like, that just doesn't work for me anymore. I'm not the same person I used to be, and I really want something different. And so we've worked on that together about finding different. And as we've gone through that process, he's like, you know what? This is really good. This different is better for us. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I said something. I spent a long time not saying anything because I just thought this is just going to mess things up or whatever. But I think we're stronger now because we're working towards something different. And so don't be afraid to share that. If you're different, say, I'm different. If you need something different from your spouse, say that. That will help your relationship continue to grow and deepen. Be a blessing to your spouse. Serve your spouse. Show up for them because you can fall in love overnight, but it takes a lifetime to stay in love. Let's pray. God, how we thank you so much for this example of this couple that we have spent the past several weeks with. We thank you that you've allowed us to see a picture of what it looks like to fall head over heels in love with someone and to join your lives together and then to work through joys and victories as well as sorrows and disagreements. That just because we come to those places, it doesn't mean our marriage is broken. It doesn't mean that the other person no longer loves us or they're no good or they're less than. No. It means it's a place for us to lean in and to deepen, to grow stronger, just like we do with you, Lord.
That's right.
You do that for us all the time. When we come to places in our lives where we're misaligned or our beliefs are not quite where they should be or our actions aren't where they should be, you lovingly draw us in. You teach us. You restore us. You grow deeper with us and we grow deeper with you. And so help us to make that a priority. Help us to show up, to love, to give, and to serve. We are so grateful for your word, and we're grateful for this example of what true love looks like and for your true love in our lives. Amen. Amen.
You want to say it or you want me to?
You got it.
All right. Guys, let's go and be the church.